Caitlin Clark didn't play. The Fever were down a veteran. The Minnesota Lynx were expected to dominate. And yet, Indiana pulled off one of the most shocking wins in WNBA history, grabbing their first Commissioner's Cup and leaving the league stunned. The Fever entered the Target Center not just as underdogs, but as a team on life support. Caitlin Clark, their biggest star and the face of women's basketball right now, was out for the third straight game with a nagging groin injury. This wasn't just any absence. Clark is the engine that powers Indiana's offense, the leader who fills arenas, the reason every camera is rolling. Without her, the Fever were essentially showing up to a gunfight with a spoon. As if Clark being out wasn't bad enough, Darius Dantas was also unavailable, away on international duty. And then came the biggest shock. Veteran guard DeWanna Bonner, signed to bring experience and composure, walked away from the team after just 9 games, quit, vanished, in the middle of a championship push. For a young squad already battling injuries and inconsistency, losing another key piece felt like a final blow. And waiting for them? The Minnesota Lynx, the defending Commissioner's Cup champions, the team with the best record in the league, playing on their home court, with MVP favorite Napheesa Collier leading the charge. Las Vegas sportsbooks had the Lynx favored by 14 points. This wasn't supposed to be a game. It was supposed to be a funeral. The Fever, without Clark's leadership on the floor, had looked completely off their game. In the 5 matches leading up to this final, they dropped 3, often giving up big leads late in games. The offense slowed to a crawl, players tried to play hero ball instead of running the system, and there was little trust on the court. Aaliyah Boston, an absolute force in the paint, was barely getting touches. The whole team looked disjointed, rattled, and leaderless. Head coach Christy Sides knew this was going to be a test of not just skill, but character. This Commissioner's Cup final wasn't just a trophy, it was a gut check. Could this team respond? Could they silence the critics? Could they stand tall without their star? From the opening tip, Indiana didn't just survive, they attacked. Kelsey Mitchell came out with fire, driving hard to the rim and knocking down threes like she had something to prove. She finished the night playing with the kind of poise and aggression fans had been waiting for all season. This time, Aaliyah Boston got the ball, and once she did, she made it count. She powered her way to a 12-point, 11 rebounds, 6 assist performance that reminded everyone why she's one of the most dangerous post players in the league. Her battle with Collier in the paint was physical, fierce, and symbolic. This was no longer the Lynx's night, but if there was one player who changed the momentum single-handedly, it was Natasha Howard. She played like an MVP, scoring 16 points, pulling down 12 boards, and picking off passes like a defensive back. She completely disrupted Minnesota's offense, forcing Collier into 5 turnovers and helping hold the Lynx to just 34% shooting. When Howard hit clutch free throws and ran the break for a fast break layup, the Target Center crowd went silent. Off the bench, Sophie Cunningham lit the spark that kept the Fever hot. She dropped 13 points, grabbed 7 rebounds, and buried 3 critical shots from deep. Every time Minnesota looked like they might close the gap, Cunningham answered. Her energy was contagious. Lexi Hull chipped in timely plays, and new signing Ari McDonald added 12 more points, showing this team had depth most didn't expect. This wasn't just offense. The Fever brought the heat defensively. Over the final 3 quarters, they held Minnesota to just 39 points total. They trapped, rotated, and shut down passing lanes. Their ball movement came back. 5 players scored in double figures. It was the kind of team basketball fans hadn't seen from Indiana since Clark's injury. And maybe not even before that. When the Lynx cut the lead to 7 early in the 4th quarter, the Target Center crowd erupted, thinking a comeback was coming. But Indiana slammed the door shut. Quick buckets by Boston and McDonald, followed by suffocating defense, turned that glimmer of hope into a distant memory. Final score, 74-59. And the Fever, counted out, criticized, and doubted, were champions. This wasn't just about a trophy. This was a message to the entire league. The Fever don't need sympathy. They need respect. Even without Caitlin Clark, they came into the reigning champion's house and took the crown. The whole WNBA had been waiting for this team to fall apart. Instead, they rose. After the final buzzer sounded and confetti started to fall, everyone had one question on their mind. What would Caitlin Clark say? She hadn't played. She hadn't scored a single point. But she was the name everyone was watching. And then in the middle of a wild locker room celebration, Clark spoke 6 simple words that instantly went viral. Everybody in the league is sick. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't gloating. It was truth, and everyone knew it. Those 6 words hit like a sledgehammer because they spoke directly to something the WNBA had tried to ignore. The jealousy, the criticism, the bitterness that's followed Clark all season long. She's been hacked on the court, dismissed off of it, and even blamed for things far beyond basketball. But on this night, the team that supposedly couldn't win without her just won everything, and she made sure everyone heard about it. Inside the locker room, Clark wasn't sulking or sitting quietly. She was dancing, laughing, and drinking from the Commissioner's Cup trophy like it was a championship chalice. Teammates gathered around her, rookies jumped in, and even players who'd been doubted all year were shouting and smiling. This was no fluke. It was a team finally finding its identity and their superstar standing tall beside them, even from the sidelines. Despite her injury, Clark was fully engaged. Cameras showed her leaning into huddles, giving advice, yelling encouragement, clapping after every big shot. She wasn't just watching, she was leading in her own way. WNBA social media captured her intensity, and fans online praised how invested she remained even though she couldn't play. And when the Fever won, her reaction said everything. Relief, pride, and that competitive fire everyone loves. Here's how bad the assumptions were. ESPN had actually scheduled a post-game video before the game even started titled, "Lynx Dominate Fever to Win Commissioner's Cup." They were so confident Indiana would lose. They had the recap ready. But they were wrong, dead wrong. That video got yanked and quickly replaced with the real headline. The Fever pulled off one of the biggest upsets in WNBA Cup history. Even Lynx head coach Cheryl Reeve couldn't deny it. After the game, she said bluntly, "They just sort of beat us." That's respect. From one of the most successful coaches in the league. And when your opponent gives you credit like that on their home court, you know you earned it. That's what makes this win so dangerous for the rest of the WNBA. For months, critics have claimed the Fever were nothing without Caitlin Clark, that she was the offense, the draw, the hype, and to an extent she is. But this Commissioner's Cup win flipped that narrative. Kelsey Mitchell, Natasha Howard, Aaliyah Boston, they all showed they're not just sidekicks, they're stars. The Fever have depth, they have chemistry, they have heart. Now imagine this exact roster playing with this energy, this cohesion, and then you add back a fully healthy Caitlin Clark, a playmaker who sees the whole floor, draws defenders out of position, and delivers pinpoint passes. That's not just a good team. That's a problem for every title contender. Before this, the Fever were still figuring themselves out. Young players, a new system, internal drama, but now they have belief. This win didn't just give them a trophy, it gave them momentum. You could see it in how they celebrated. You could hear it in how they spoke after the game, and you could feel it from the fans who've been riding with them since Clark arrived. When asked what changed, Sophie Cunningham didn't hesitate. "We finally played for each other. All 5 of us on the court bought in." That word, buy in, is what coaches dream of. It's what turns good teams into great ones. This isn't the same Fever team that started the season slow. This isn't the team that let leads slip away or froze when things got tough. This is a team that just beat the best in the league, on the road, without their biggest name. That's not a lucky night. That's the beginning of something bigger. Look ahead. The Commissioner's Cup was supposed to belong to Minnesota, but Indiana flipped the script. And now every team in the league has to deal with a squad that knows it can win, even when everything goes wrong. And when Clark returns at full strength, Indiana Fever might not just be playoff hopefuls, they might be favorites. If you believe the Fever are coming for the WNBA title next, drop a comment saying, "I've got the Fever." And hey, if you're loving this kind of story, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more game-changing moments just like this. Let's go.